All right, today I'm going to be putting in a second battery in my truck. This is something I've tried to do before, but it didn't actually work out. Actually ended up popping a ground strap on the engine. I'll show you what I did that messed up so we don't repeat mistakes. So I'm probably going to be jumping back and forth between the video that I filmed earlier and this one. So if it's a little choppy, I'm sorry about that. But I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna be doing here. So these trucks, they've got a spot for a second battery already. So I've already placed the battery down in there. You can order this block right here that'll actually physically lock it into place. So I'm gonna lock the battery into place, and then I'm gonna run the wiring. I'm gonna be using a battery isolator also on this, so I'll show you what I'm going to be doing. So here's the battery tie down that I have. I got this off Amazon. I'll include a link down below, but it's just a simple block with the bolt that comes with it, and the tray that was already in the truck is threaded to accept that bolt size. So let's put this guy in. So as you can see there, I've tightened down the hold down to the tray, so the battery's in place. Now if you look over here, it's kind of hard to see, but on the other side it's held in place by that lip down there that's holding the battery in place. So all right, I've got this Battery Doctor battery isolator pulled out of the packaging. It comes with this L-shaped bracket that you can use to wedge underneath the battery or mount in the vehicle. And see, the battery isolator's got that little hole, and you can line the bracket there, will sit in that hole, and you can wedge it underneath the battery you already have. So thought about going this route. I don't really love it. It also comes with this bracket right here that you could hard mount in. So taking this and looking underneath the truck, a good spot back in here is right in this area. So we've got these two studs there on the firewall, which I want to take advantage of. And the isolator sits pretty well back in there. So we're gonna do a little bit of work to get it in there, but I think we can make it fit. So as you can see, I've got the Battery Doctor wedged in between the wiring harness right here and this stud. I'm gonna take advantage of these two studs right here to get that to work. Alright, so I've got these 6/32 screws right here by 3/8. I've got a 1/8 inch washer that's 1 inch wide. And then I've got the nuts that go with the 6/32 bolts. As you can see, these holes are recessed, so that screw sits countersunk already in there. So I'm going to take this flat bar, put it over those two holes. Take a washer and a nut and tighten the whole thing down. And you see I can do that for both sides. So, but first I need to cut this bar down, so let's do that. Alright, so we got the bracket drilled out. I put the battery doctor plate on our pressed plate. You can see I've got the spacers in the back. I did drill an extra hole to space out the screws on that. It's not countersunk like the other one, but it'll still work. But let's put this guy in the truck and I'll show you what it looks like here. So there it is, mounted on those two studs. I'm gonna put two nuts on those studs and then put the plate and then tighten it down with the two nuts, just so that there's a little bit of space between it and the firewall. So let's get that done. And I've gone ahead and put the box on. So let's mount it up. Alright, we just got our battery isolator mounted up, and now we need to put one of these inline 150 amp fuses into the circuit. So again, there is our battery isolator. Now on the instructions for this, it says to have a inline fuse going from your battery isolator to your alternator. So I'm just going to put one in, even though you saw that I had two. And then there it is again. So I'm going to find a spot for this. I'm thinking over here on this side panel will be a good spot to put it. I think I'm just going to zip tie it. I don't really want to screw into the sheet metal. And there's enough holes in there that I think I can securely hold it in. So let's get that done. Alright, so I got the fuse mounted to the side ender fender there. It is fairly secure, so I like that for right now. Just use zip ties like I said. I like the zip ties because this makes this a non-permanent option, and I could just pull this out and return it to stock fairly easily. So back under the engine bay, I've still got all my wire attached. I've got this stud put on here. I'm just going to make a rough guide of where this should go. Looking there, about at the end of that fuse down there at the bottom. You can see I've got about a foot, maybe 8 inches of power cord. Pulled the fuse out of the center of the one that's mounted in the truck. You can see here's the casing with the fuse in it. So these use Allen bolts to secure the cable down. You look in there, you can see the bolt. So we'll have to strip a bit of wire off from the cable we made and then cinch that down on this fuse. So here's the cable we made. Looking at this here, we got about that much depth to work with. So I'm gonna pull this much off of the casing. So I got our casing pulled off. So I've got a socket here. It's a 5mm. Simply gonna loosen up the Allen nut there, and I'm going to set this in here. And I'm going to tighten it down. I'm going to get a ratchet. Give it a couple of turns. Nice and snug. Give it a pull. We're good. I'm going to take the entirety of the rope the power cord that I've got, and I'm actually going to put it on this side, and I'm going to pull it through the fuse casing. Because this end is going to go to the positive side of the battery. So I'm just going to go ahead and crimp this down on this side to make that terminal, or make that connection here. So one more to go. Just to show you what I did here, I attached that cable to the battery doctor on the auxiliary battery side, and then I put some wire loom on it just to make it look a little bit nicer. Gonna get the second line over here to this positive and gonna do the same. We need to ground the battery doctor to the car itself. I got this black wire from the battery doctor pulled over here. This is where the car grounds itself. I'm going to pull this off and add this wire to it so that the battery doctor is grounded. I'm going to start by taking the negative cable off and pushing it to the side. These plastic covers off. I'm going to start with this positive red case here. So from the factory, GM puts this distribution block on top of the battery. So you've got your positive coming in to the distribution block here. And you see we've got 4 stud posts. This third one here is not being used by anything. I went to Home Depot and grabbed a nut that fits on there. So I'm going to put a terminal on our stretch of power cord. I'm going to size it up, and then I'm going to run it over to the isolator. So let's put the terminal on. All right, I've been running this dual battery setup now for a couple of months. It's been working great for me. Got my 2 terminals here, positive and negative. 3 wires on the positive side, just 2 on the negative. This red one on the far left, that connects the 2 batteries. There's an isolator in between them. This middle wire right here goes to my switch pod setup, which I've got a video on. And then this this wire right here goes to the amp in the back of the truck, in the back seat of the truck, which powers the amplifier and my speakers and sub. On the negative side, I've got a black wire here. This one goes to the switch pod, and then the one on the far right, the thicker one, that runs all the way to the main battery itself. So this one's directly tied in. This one's directly tied in to the battery. This red one is tied in via the isolator. So when you're doing this on your negative side, make sure that you run this wire all the way back, and it's tucked underneath that wire loom over there, all the way back into your negative post. So the wire coming off the left is my winch. I've been meaning to move that over to the secondary battery. I just haven't done it yet, but I'll get around to it eventually. So just wanted to give you an update and kind of finish showing you how this works. It's a pretty good option if the car ever dies, the main battery ever dies. You can also start the car off the secondary battery. So go out there, give it a try. All right, thanks, see y'all.